I tell y'all what's on my mind?
Vanity, lust, the main three things that'll make
Let me
you
get a
end
couple of
up in
things
the
off my
dust.
chest.
The 7 sins that women and men commit 24/7. You better watch out to get 187. I'm trying to tell you. Greed, vanity, lust. What's up? What's up? It's your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your nephew, your friend, but I can't be your son as you can't folk. William Jewell. Giving you my detail as I articulate. This is articulating rap. Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for watching. Just thank y'all for just giving me your attention. Right. Just thank you for giving me your support. I'm trying to give y'all this rap from a microscopic and telescopic lens. Right. Just a different viewpoint from far away and from close up. You know, from the broader horizons to the more detailed spectrum. So thank y'all for just letting me get this going. Thank y'all for just the support. You know, it's been over a year and we still going strong. We still going strong. And man, as far as music goes, rap music, like we haven't had none of the, those higher tier artists really putting out new music like that. Maybe a couple singles, right? And that we about to get into. Maybe a couple singles. Of course, Drake dropped last week. But nobody really like known like that. We had the Baby, we had the ESTG, we had the Larry June and Two Chains. I see Nardo Wick, I see Moray, I see Dave East and Ransom. I see some of these albums being dropped this year, and I really look forward to getting it to them. But I just haven't gotten to them yet, and just to do the due diligence and to give them a fair shake, give them a fair detail or review, then I'm gonna get to them this week, and I know y'all gonna be looking forward to hearing that. I haven't heard from Moray in a minute. Like I was wondering what happened to him, but good to see he back in the mix. I mean, Nardo Wick, he's never been my flavor. You know, he had that song with Dirt that was cool, and 21 Savage that was cool, but I mean, other than that, like I never really got into him like that. Dave East, I mean, of course, Dave East Coast, right? New York. That's what we gonna get, especially if he on the track with Ransom. So that's what I'm expecting from those listens. But man, let's get into it. Right, Drake. Say Drake, right? Drake and Party Next Door. 250K. 250K they are projected to sell, and I think they ended up selling 249, 248. You know, the numbers been kind of shifting depending on where you get your news from, but it's been in that 250 range. So I mean, salute to Drake. Right? Because at the end of the day, like you really kind of gotta give him some credit, right? Because everybody's on the Drake hate train, right? And now that the beef is over with, I guess, now it's time to really talk about the rap. Now it's really time to talk about the music and trying to get past this, right? Because I feel like it's not fair for the other artists that are trying to get their music out because people are so fixated on this turmoil between these two guys that it's been taken away from the listeners when it comes to other music. It's been taken away that attention, that limelight, that spotlight, and we need these other artists to excel, to further hip hop as a culture, to further hip hop as a genre, and keep rap number one. So I mean, that's definitely excellent that two of the biggest artists in hip hop are making their presence known and still continuing to feed their fans no matter what's going on. But I think it's time that we kind of move on from this, and it makes sense, right? It makes sense. But Drake, congratulations to him, right? And why congratulations to him is because first of all and foremost, people said that he wouldn't be the same, right? And then also on the other hand, people did say this battle is not gonna kill him. But the thing is, it was so much internet wars between the Kendrick fans and the Drake fans, like nobody knew where he actually stood because it was just internet chatter, right? And then at the end of the day, now that we see that internet chatter didn't matter to the numbers, right? No matter if the people that wanted to listen to him streamed him on the first day just to listen and didn't listen after that, right? he still did the number. So that means he was getting those consistent listens no matter what. Right. And they said he didn't have a big budget. He didn't have a big push, but he did let the people know that this album was coming out. He didn't have a main single to come with it, but he did let the people know that this album was coming out. So, I mean, everybody had a heads up. He dropped it on a Valentine weekend. So it was just a perfect time to deliver these sexy songs for his fan base. And like I said, that music is not for everybody, but at the end of the day, enough people tuned in and listened to it and streamed it to make it the number one album. So you can say what you want to say about Drake, but at the end of the day, the truth still continues to remain is that Drake is going to do his numbers. Drake has not fallen off. Drake is still present. Drake is still here. Um, there's also rumors that this is just a warm up, that he plans on dropping a solo album. And I could envision it to be a little bit more rap, a little bit more hip hop, and that's what I'm hoping. But I mean, we never know what to expect from Drake, right? We never know what to expect, especially now that his back's against the wall, right? Now that he's in this mode, he's in this era, and I wouldn't even say it's his villain era, right? I just feel like that's cheesy, that's corny, but he has had to adjust. He's had to adapt to what's going on in the industry, understanding that the people that used to rock with him don't really rock with him like that. Understanding some of his allies have become frenemies or enemies. Just understanding like the different oppositions that, you know, are surrounding him, and how can he use this moment to really make a big adjustment, right? Really continue to catapult his career in music, because I don't think this is a moment that you continue to do the same thing that you've always done. I think this is a moment to show that you've learned from whatever has happened, learn from your choices in the past, and learn from some of your actions that may have wronged some people, and understanding like, you know, it, you do need to be held accountable. But sometimes in that adversity, sometimes in that pressure, you know, you find the diamonds. In that adversity, that's where you find the answers. So I feel like Drake can do that. And, you know, Party Next Door, I think this was a Drake album. I don't think Party Next Door, I don't think our viewpoint on him changes. I think our viewpoint on him actually gets worse because of this album, because he didn't sound good, because Drake outdid him, and just because his contribution to this project as a whole was not really considered in the grand scheme of things. Right? Maybe he did write some things. Maybe he did curate or orchestrate some things on this album, but he didn't do nothing on this album to stand out. He didn't do nothing on this album to let us know that he was here. He didn't do nothing on this album that really caught our attention. So I don't believe Party Next Door elevates his profile or lowers it. But whatever I thought about him, or whatever I didn't have an opinion on him and I listened to the album, just based on the expectations, based on a lot of people gassing and juicing him up, based on that, I have a lower expectation. I have a lower, you know, value for his music and what he actually brings to the table. Right. And so we'll see. We'll see what Drake is gonna do going forward. We see what this means to hip hop as a whole. Is he gonna give us a new album? But this is the 14th number one album. So we gotta give credit. We gotta give props, right? Like at the end of the day, uh I was talking, and I'll make it brief and then we'll go to the next subject. I was talking to people on the internet, and I say Facebook, right, because that's the main place I really actually have conversations. And people were saying that this is the number one 14th album. But and I was asking how many albums of those are classic, right? How many albums of those really stand out? So at the end of the day, the numbers are going to be the numbers. but does the numbers reflect the quality in the music or the popularity of the person? Because Drake has already been built up, over the years, and a few months is not going to take that away from him. And I see a lot of women that love this album, that continue to play this album, that continue to show their support to Drake. And they're not even saying anything bad about Kendrick. They just saying, hey, I love this album. I can't stop playing this album. And that's their vibe. That's their type of music. Just like the Weeknd vibes. Just like the Bryson Tiller, the Brent Fayez vibes. I believe Drake's music is kind of on that same playing field. And when he released the full R&B, the people that really gravitate to that type of music really showed their support, showed their love and affection for that type of music, especially on Valentine's Day. So for them, it was the music that they liked. But from a hip hop standpoint and just looking at it musically as far as quality, I think that's a different conversation, right? I think that's a different conversation. So salute to Drake, for doing what he do, and salute to J. Cole too, right? New single came out of nowhere, out the blog, Inevitable. He dropped Clouds. My nigga been smoking something loud. Hit to the clouds. Like J. Cole, like he's giving us the balance. I can't deny that. J. Cole is giving us the balance. I go back and forth with people on the internet just because I feel like they don't have a wider understanding of music, as a whole. I think they looking at things through tunnel vision. They looking at things just through a small peephole and not understanding like it's much broader, it's much wider than just delivering bars, than just being a lyricist, right? If motherfuckers liked real hip hop, then Killer Mike would be platinum. Black Thought, right? And Daylight, what he's doing right now. So when you talking about bars, J. Cole is delivering us bars. Yes, he's doing that. But there's more to hip hop than just bars. So I just want to say that, get that out the way first, because I feel like that's going to come back to when I explain how I feel about this song and I feel about J. Cole's music. And then we go on to the next subject. But Clouds, I like the song. I like the song. I like the lyricism. I like the balance, because Drake just gave you a full album of nothing but singing. Right? And then the only song that he wanted to rap on is Give Me a Hug, when he wanted to still send subliminal shots. Kendrick gave us rapping, GNX, hardcore beats. Gave us a little bit R&B, but he made sure to keep the main thing the main thing. He gave us hit songs, gave us more commercial appeal, but brought the commercial side to the West Coast. Mainstream people, right? And I feel like J. Cole, with this type of music, this type of boom bap, this just type of sonically hip hop rooted sound, I think he brings it back to the center. He brings it back to the nucleus. And I think that's the great thing about the big three. Right? Even though Kendrick said it's just Big Me, we understand like all three of these guys have brought something to the culture, and it's even more prominent. It's even more profound. Now you hearing these Clouds. It's more needed just hearing this Clouds. I feel like it's needed. Yes. What J. Cole is saying, steady talking about his flow, steady saying how he's the best, steady saying like how's anybody he's done a feature with, they're a martyr, he killed them, he's the father. Like, he's steady talking like in this braggadocious tone. And for hip hop, from the cultural standpoint and from the balance, that's what's needed. But it's nothing wrong when people like Freddie Gibbs point out the hypocrisy in those type of lyrics. There's nothing wrong when I say, hey, you're saying this, but you did something different in the battle. Two things could be true. This could be needed, but we still got to look at that shit and understand that shit's funny under the light. And people that like bars, that like pure hip hop, that just like straight lyrics, I think J. Cole delivers that skill set for them, right? People that like that melodic tone, you know, vibey, but still lyrical content enough to enjoy the ability of rapping. Then we go Drake. And I feel like Kendrick can encompass all of those things depending on what he's feeling like. But the fact that he doesn't have one style, right? That's where it's kind of hard to place him in the lane. But he encompasses sometimes the commercial appeal, and then he also encompasses the appeal of the pure hip hop lover, right? The purist. So I like what J. Cole did with this. I think this is prominent, and this is providing us to what we can look forward to in the future. Like when we think about the climb back, right? The interlude, Lion King on Ice. I remember when he dropped those singles, right? I remember when he dropped those right before the fall off. No, right before he dropped the off season. I was very enamored with the climb back. Like he really spit. That was like one of my favorite songs. And honestly, he's not doing nothing different. He's been rapping at this elite level for a very long time. Right? Because the off season, that was 2021. Right? So he's been delivering us these type of verses for a very long time. But on the flip side, when it comes to the actual curation of his albums, when it comes to the actual song making, especially when we look at Might Delete Later, some people, hip hop purists, some people might still really like that album, but I think it kind of lost its luster because of what happened during the beef. I think it could have been a little bit more profound, but when we take away if you take away the context of what happened, like the apology, the Dreamville Fest, all the things that followed the release of that album, then you might consider it a good hip hop album. But yeah, I think his ability to rap and his ability to make songs and his ability to like really galvanize, everybody around his music, I feel like that's an era that he lacks in. And why am I using this time to showcase J. Cole, give J. Cole his credit for being a great lyricist, elite penmanship, elite writer? But why am I saying something negative about it? It's not really negative to me, it's just my viewpoint on it. And it's something that we see over and over again. We see in the off season, right? I I feel like Kendrick has found a way to dumb down the lyricism so he can really resonate on a larger scale. And I don't believe J. Cole cares about that. And that's the balance that we need, right? We need rappers in hip hop that don't care about the mainstream, right? And Kendrick didn't care about the mainstream when he got on the Super Bowl stage and did GNX and then go to his hits. We need that type of attitude, that rebellious attitude. And I feel like J. Cole is giving us that. But when we think about this song is cool, but this song is not gonna live long. Only because it's not catchy. Only because it's not a great song. It's an okay hook with great verses. And it's not so that's how I look at this. That's how I look at this song. Right? I look at J. Cole and I feel like it's hard for him to make a song without being lyrically inclined, without showing his lyrical prowess. And it's hard for him to show his lyrical prowess and try to make a great song because most of the great songs that he's done recently has been more so him going hard on features. But features aside, when we just put him on a track by himself, recently I feel like he hasn't been able to find that that type of song that can like catapult him above the number 3 spot. And really that's why he's been at the number 3 spot even before Kendrick and before Drake had this beef. He was always considered number 3. He might have moved up a couple notches because Kendrick wasn't as present in the hip hop game and J. Cole was killing these features and he was getting on a lot more songs. But once Kendrick came back in the fold and he was showcasing his ability to make songs and resonate with the general public and a larger group of people, then I think J. Cole kind of fell back to that number 3 spot. So man, it's a lot to talk about. I feel like I could talk about this subject a lot just because we know a lot of people was divided between Drake and Kendrick, and a lot of Cole fans went to that Kendrick side. Maybe some went to that Drake side. But now that Cole's back in the fold, he did Port Antonio. Now he's coming back with cLOUDs, and now his name is more present and prominent, and people are speaking about him and kind of putting him back up in that spot. But I urge people to realize like Cole is a great lyricist. Black Thought is a great lyricist. Daylight is a great lyricist. Right? Lupe is a great lyricist. Right? These guys are great lyricists. But what separates the great lyricists and the great rappers throughout the years have always been song making. So if Hove is your favorite rapper and you're all about bars and lyricists, you got to understand Hove has hits too, right? If Wayne is your favorite rapper, right, all the mixtapes, right? And this is like a Wheezy song from a mixtape, but Wheezy, when he was in his prime, he made some hit songs. So it just depends on how you want to look at rapping. And I don't think any viewpoint is wrong, but I think every viewpoint should be recognized and be basically acknowledged. And understand like it's more to one viewpoint, but can we put all these viewpoints in totality and figure out the sum of it all? So that's my 2 cents. Then Joey Badass, he drops Pardon Me. He gives you the EP. He talking a little bit spicy, but nothing too serious. But I feel like he really tapped into his lyrical ability. And Pardon Me, he didn't care about trying to make a song like he did on Sorry Not Sorry or The Ruler's Back. He just kind of tapped into his lyrical ability and showcased his lyrical ability and then gave you the bars. And see, this is a time where the bars is needed. And J. Cole, we needed him to deliver those bars, but he gave us 7-minute drill. Where was those intricate raps then? Where was those mind-bending flows then? That's the thing. Like, when you had the opportunity to showcase how great you were, how better of a rapper you were, you didn't do it. So when the pressure's off, you can cook up. But when there's pressures on, you're mentally drained. But the real clutch performers can perform when they're being drained mentally, emotionally, when their peace is disturbed. They can perform, they can find peace throughout the chaos. Right? The storm type shit. And that's what Joey Badass is doing. That's what Daylight is doing with Bickery. Right? Like, and I feel like this is great lyrical sparring. Cause Joey showcased his best lyrical offering to date of 2025. And Daylight did the same. Right? He had High U, then he had YHRR, then he gave us Bickery, right? Each each drop has become more intricate, has become more detailed. Like I had to listen to Bickery over and over again earlier today. I was like, what the hell? Like he really dove deep in, like woven a web that was unweavable. Like he gave us some bars, he gave us some wordplay, and he just gave us some entendres like that. You really gotta like go back and look at the lyrics to really kind of see what he's saying. When a rapper raps so well that you kind of gotta look at the lyrics to kind of see what they saying. Like damn, that's a great delivery. And the way he delivered it, the flow, the sample in the back. So, man, I just like to see that display of lyrical sparring that Joey Badass is doing, that Daylight is doing. I think it'll be more interesting. Just keep it between them two because, and Ray Vaughn can have his, you know what I'm saying? Ray Vaughn can do his thing too. And I saw that AZ Shike had something to say as well. So I feel like that medium well or that medium well beef that's going on between Joey Badass and uh and the West Coast, I feel like that's they're not cooking it too much, right? They're just making sure the temperature is just right. So I wouldn't even say medium well, it's more medium rare. It's more medium rare. And Joey said it's a 20v1. He a 20v1 army. And so I'm interested in seeing like how that goes. But Daylight, he got enough juice to drop an album and people gonna listen. Joey, he got enough juice to drop an album and people gonna listen, especially like later on in the year. So just continue to keep doing what y'all doing and just keep people interested in, looking at like y'all music in that perspective. Cause I think now people gonna want to see like what y'all done in the past, especially with Daylight. Cause I mean I've just gotten on Daylight recently. Like when I heard Pie, when I heard Collard Greens, like I really wasn't on Daylight because I wasn't into battle rap like that. But just him sparring with Joey, that's really got me intrigued. And they say another thing is why is the the apology not as loud as the disrespect? And I feel like we could talk that when it comes to Jay-Z versus Tony Busby. Right? The charges have been dismissed. I don't think I talked about this. The charges have been dismissed with prejudice. That means that they can't bring this charges. They can't bring that charge back up against them. And Hov is countersuing for 20 million against Tony Busby because he says he cost him $20 million. So man, and then the fact that he wasn't able to attend Blue, he attended Blue Ivy's Mufasa premiere, but he had that stench on him from that rape charge on a 13-year-old coming out right before that happened. So it's crazy that yeah, it's crazy that something like this like has tarnished him a little bit and nobody's really like apologizing. Everybody's really just they wanted to see him fall. They wanted to see him fall. They wanted to see another black man dead in jail, like being persecuted by the people. So I'm glad that he was able to beat that, and I'm glad that he was now he's able to pretty much countersue because he's basically giving people what they say a blueprint of how to handle things when people are trying to take advantage of you. People are trying to railroad you. People are trying to make false accusations about you. So I believe that this is the right move. This is the right move. Uh and We got some more topics. The Kendrick Lamar snippet, Bodies on Bodies. Like, when is that coming out? They said it was supposed to come out with the Captain America Brave New World. It was supposed to be a movie titled track. Like, he still haven't dropped that, and I've been wondering when that's coming. Right? He gave us that snippet on a GNX trailer long time ago, so I'm interested in when he's gonna drop that bodies on bodies. Enough teasing, Kendrick, but it worked with Squabble Up, so I'm not mad at him. He dropped Squabble Up with the teaser reincarnated. I've been stargazing. Life goes on. I need all my heart back. Woke up looking for the broccoli. Hot key, keep on me that my seat. Like when he did that, and then when he dropped GNX and that song was there, that made Squabble Up go to the #1 song. So it's kind of like you don't question Kendrick Lamar at this point. Like he's prophetic. They only talk about it. I get it. like like God put his hands on that man. Like to be able to maneuver in this industry and just be able to make the perfect decisions and the right choices when all the pressure is on you, to be able to say all the right things and it comes to rap battle, when it comes to beef, to be able to, posture or put yourself in a position to win. Like I think Kendrick Lamar, like this is a master class that needs to be studied. Not just this beef, but how he releases his music, his albums, his whole thought process. I can't wait till we get a documentary giving us a little bit more insight on Kendrick Lamar, because he definitely needs to be studied. He's one of those wonders of the world that, I mean, if you hate it or love it, he's controversial at this point, but hate it or love it, like how he does things is very astute. How he does things is very shrewd and just smart. And it's just something like you kind of gotta analyze, you kind of gotta research, and you kind of gotta study just to understand. Like this is how you should maneuver if you're an artist or if you're somebody that wants to be great at your craft and be great at being an artist, a performer. Like that's the thing. We studied Kobe Bryant, right? They studied LeBron James. They studied Tom Brady, right? The man in the arena. They've studied Michael Jordan, The Last Dance, right? You study somebody like Stephen A. Smith. You study somebody like Skip Bayless, right? You study somebody like Barack Obama. Shit, you might even want to study Trump, because what these people are doing, they need to be studied, because they're putting on a class of how to win their way, or win in a way that maybe others might not like, that others might not care for, but they still manage to push through the turmoil and give the people that want them what they want. So I think Kendrick Lamar is one of those guys where like he just need to be studied, honestly, right? And Wayne, let's talk about Lil Wayne, because I did see those clips, right? It looked disturbing. I don't know if Wayne was just laughing or he was high or whatever. He cut Birdman off. It was just like, I don't know. It's just weird seeing Wayne like that. Like, I love Wayne. I've been a big Wayne fan since I was, 13. When, the Carter one came out. Of course, I love the Hot Boys, but I love Juvie more than I love Wayne back then. But when I really started liking Wayne, I was 13 years old. And just to look at him from back then and look at him now, I don't like it. Like the fact that he was apologizing, I didn't like that. And just now, the more that he's being put under the microscope, besides the time when he's on when he was on Undisputed talking about sports, or when he's talking about sports, like just seeing Wayne, sometimes he just looked like a shell of himself. He just doesn't look the same. And he's great. But I feel like just seeing these pictures, seeing these different videos of him, just seeing these angles of him is just, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of tearing down his legacy even more, just making him look bad. So I don't know what Wayne can do to change that or reverse that. I did like what he did on the SNL show, but it was nothing to really change my mind of my viewpoint of him at this time. and how he performs. I think it was a straight performance, but it wasn't enough performance to where I was like, wow, I know he could have did that Super Bowl. So, I mean, I like Wayne. I love Wayne. I appreciate Wayne. Wayne got me through, my adolescence to my adulthood. Like, Wayne was always my favorite rapper. But I don't like the way he looks. Right? I don't like the way he looks. And I'm not saying he's an ugly man. I'm not saying he looks like a dope fiend. I'm not saying he's too skinny. I'm not saying nothing about his dreads being messed up. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying from the standpoint of he looks like he needs help. Right? He looks like he needs uh he just, I don't know. He needs a rejuvenation. But that's it. That's all I'm gonna say about that. It's your brother, your cousin, your uncle, your nephew, your friend, but I can't be his son. That's your kinfolk. William Jewell, giving you my detail as I articulate. This is articulating rap, rap, rap.